Sorry. And so we're attempting to do something that we've done before, and hopefully it will be as helpful to you tonight. If you were a delegate last year, things have not changed dramatically from last year in terms of how you do things, but there will be one big change, which we'll get to in a few minutes. We are recording this tonight, and we'll have the recording available tomorrow. We'll share an email with delegates. So anybody who's registered as a delegate who did not come on the call last night, yesterday afternoon, or tonight, will still be able to view the information that we're going to talk about. Thanks again for coming. Just got a few things. I think this will probably take us 25 or 30 minutes, and then we'll answer some questions. The first thing I really need to emphasize to all the delegates, if you're on this Zoom, but you have not yet registered for Saturday's Zoom, we need you to go online and to register. There's two very important reasons. Number one, you can't get into the Zoom room on Saturday as a delegate without being registered. You can watch live. We will be live streaming through our Facebook page, the Metro New York page, both the morning and the afternoon services, but you cannot participate in the assembly as a delegate if you're not registered. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to drop into the chat for everybody to look at the link for the registration. Or Tito will drop it in, or Jeff, who's on the call, can drop it in as well. We will, you'll see the link. We've sent this to all of the pastors on the district. We've sent it to that we had contacts for. So you should have gotten one if you're a delegate, but we'll put that in the link below. So one of the questions that we got this year is, why are we doing a hybrid district assembly when everything in New York seems to be open to public gatherings? And
quick question, Bruce. I'm sorry to interrupt. Should I translate anything of what you say, or should I just wait for the question time?
Let's just wait for questions.
Okay.
Sorry. Why are we doing a hybrid again when everything seems to have dissipated and COVID isn't as the restrictions on COVID aren't as strict as they were? That's because we made a decision back in January how we were going to do this district assembly to bring the general superintendent into the conversation and to start making plans. We had to make a critical decision in January. In January, some of you will remember, we were still dealing with an Omicron variant of the COVID virus. And so at that time, we made the decision that we would not go to a fully in-person district assembly, but that we would go with a hybrid, which would be delegates on Zoom and a limited number of people in person. This is the same format that we had last May or at our last district assembly in May of last year, where we had ordinands, their guests, their families, senior pastors, and district leaders at the Bridge Church, and then all of our delegates were on Zoom. So we made that decision in January, and we needed to start making plans. We did that, and about 4 weeks later, of course, the mayor of New York lifted all of the bans on everything in New York City. And we've continued to see a decreasing number of hospitalizations, and all the trends are leading towards all the work that we did for 2 years being paid off, and that we're not seeing the virus spread as much as it was. So it seems today like, we should just have everybody in one location on Saturday. But it was just not possible to make that decision in January. So we've done the best we can. We've put together what we think is a pretty good district assembly event for Saturday. And we'll do it this way. Last year, I explained to the delegates that the hybrid was a one-time only event. So I'm telling you that it's a two-time only event, that we are hoping that next year we're not doing this all over again. We hope to be fully back in person next year as the district returns to an in-person assembly. So if, as I said earlier, if you're coming on late, if you have questions during the presentation, if you want to drop them in the chat window, somebody on the district staff will probably answer them. If they don't, we'll answer them at the end. We'll let you turn your mics on and ask any questions that you want. On Saturday during the Zoom assembly, you will do the same thing. If you have questions during the assembly, you'll drop your questions into the chat. And if we need to ask for a question of the chair of the assembly, which is our general superintendent, we'll do that from the chat window and from the floor. I want to remind you that I know that we're two years into professionals who are on Zoom, and we know how to navigate Zoom. We know everything there is about Zoom. One of the things that many of us forget to do is to update our Zoom application. So if you have Zoom on your phone, if you have it on your iPad, if you have it on your laptop, it's really simple. Within the About Zoom section, you can go in and under Preferences and have it checked for an update. Make sure you have the most up-to-date version of Zoom on your device that you'll be using on Saturday. That will help with any problems that you have. So I want to say two things about how you join the Zoom on Saturday. There's two critical pieces of information that you will need to do differently than some of you have done this evening. When you join Zoom on Saturday, when you try to come into the Zoom room on Saturday, you must have your video camera on so we can see your face. And you must have your name typed in the bar below. So some of you can see me now. Mine says Metro New York District. On Saturday, mine will still say Metro New York District because my Zoom will be the official Zoom. But if you come in and yours has your phone number, or if it has a number like 177888, or if it has something like that that we cannot read, please, before you come into the Zoom on Saturday, update that so that we know who you are by name. This will help us as we look at the registration list and see who the registered delegates are. What we're trying to do is keep from having a problem where somebody hacks into our Zoom room and then disrupts the district assembly. The only way we can do that is if we know that those people we let in are actually people, which is why we want to see your face, and B, that you're a registered delegate through the computer system. So don't use your church name. Don't use names of 2 or 3 people. Don't say, the Barnard family, whatever. Just put your name. If you're a pastor, you can put pastor. If you're associate pastor or something, you can add that if you'd like. That will help us identify you throughout the assembly. If you have questions of us, we'll know who's asking. We will not ask questions of somebody whose name is not on their identification bar. And in fact, if we accidentally let you in, we'll probably remove you from the room until that's corrected. So you don't have to do it tonight. You can leave your cameras off tonight, but when you come Saturday, you're going to need to do those 2 things. Now, Once you're admitted to the Zoom, if you want to turn your camera off, that's fine. But for our team to admit you, they want to see your face. We're going to ask you, you'll see on Saturday, you won't see this screen with 50 different images or however many people are on, because there'll be hundreds of people. What you will see is the live feed from the video system at the Far Rockaway Church. So whatever they are shooting on the camera will be your spotlight view for district assembly. That will be one screen in the middle of your screen. So you won't get confused by constantly looking for where it's at. We're asking you to log in with only one device. I know sometimes people log in on a computer, but then they want their phone on because of some reason or another. That creates all kinds of technology issues for us if you're logged in on multiple devices. So log in on one device, whether it's your phone, whether it's your laptop, whether it's your iPad or whatever, and make sure you have your video on and your audio on so you can hear. If you share a computer with somebody, if you register with only one email for your spouse, let's say you and your spouse, you will only have one vote when it comes time to vote. If you want to vote as a delegate and have your own vote counted, you will need your own Zoom access and your own email address. So we just give you enough lead time. So if you need to look into that, you can do that. It's only critical on being able to vote. If you want to sit and watch from Zoom with your spouse, you can do that. But if you both want to record votes and you're both eligible to record votes, then you'll need to register separately and have separate email accounts. I also want to tell you that generally speaking, the folks that are running the Zoom for the district staff, that's myself and Tito Rivera and Jeff Parker. Though we've been on Zoom now for 2 years, we are by no means Zoom experts. So we don't know everything there is to know about Zoom. We don't know anything about your technology setup. We don't know your devices. We don't know about your internet. So our advice is find a place where the lighting is good and you can see. Find a place with good, solid, stable internet. If you have an internet connection that is spotty all the time, you might want to find another place to log in on Saturday. We don't have the capability to help you dissect a technology issue. If we have a technology issue on our end, we'll be working on that with the tech team from the Far Rockaway Church. But we can't help you with your technology hookups. Now, everybody has found their way into Zoom tonight. It's the same way on Saturday. You'll click the link, you'll wait until we admit you to the room, and then you'll be in. So if you're having problems with your internet feed tonight and your Wi-Fi speed tonight, you'll probably have them on Saturday. You might want to talk with your pastor or somebody about finding another location that you can log in from. If you just want to watch, you can watch on the Facebook page, my Metro Nazarene Facebook page. We've shared the link for that. We'll share it again. You don't have to have Facebook to watch the live feed. That's a question we get all the time. We only use Facebook as the platform, because it's free, to send out our live feed, and anybody can watch the live feed even if they don't have a Facebook account. Again, they can't participate because they're not in Zoom, but they can watch the entire assembly and the entire ordination service with that. If you have a question for us on Saturday, when you type it in the chat, if you could just identify who you are and what church you're from, because if we have to read the question from the floor, we want to be able to say, I have a a question from Pastor Rivera. He's with the Church of the Nazarene in Newark, and here's his question. We want to identify who's asking it. So if you type it in there, we need to know. Okay, let me share a couple of things with you that I think are important for you to know what. Wait a second. I'm going to share my screen. The agenda for the business session on Saturday. Well, in a few minutes, you're gonna have this document, but these are the login instructions. You don't have to write them down. We'll give you a link to these in just a minute. Again, if you want a reminder of what I went over, it's all right here. Logging in with your video, your name on the screen, the meeting code and the password are there, but you're going to have that. So let me talk about the agenda just for a minute. Again, you'll have a copy of this. At 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, we're going to open the Zoom room up for people to log in. We're not starting at 8 o'clock, but you can understand if everybody tried to log in at 8:30 and we have 200 or 300 people, people won't get in on time. So we're going to suggest that sometime after 8 o'clock Saturday morning, you log in. We'll have some videos that'll play during the time, some music, things like that, to keep you sort of entertained. But you're also welcome to log in and then turn your camera off, turn your mic off, and go get a cup of coffee and have your breakfast until we start. At 8:30, we have the worship team from Far Rockaway that'll be leading us. And then the business session will be called to order at 9 o'clock by Dr. Vassell and Dr. Crocker. Dr. Gustavo Crocker is our presiding general superintendent, and he'll be in charge of the assembly from that point forward until we adjourn in the early afternoon. There's a number of things on there that you'll see when you get your copy of the Delegate Handbook, but I just would also say to you that these times are rough. If you've ever been to one of our district assemblies, you know that a timeline on an agenda is basically a suggestion. We'll try and keep to it, but I can't guarantee that that's what's going to happen. So you'll have a copy of this agenda. It'll be in your Delegate Handbook, and we'll put a. I'm going to drop that in the chat in just a minute. Some of you on this call, not everyone, but some of you on the call will be coming to the site in person. Let me just move this so you can see this. The Far Rockaway Church is at 1414 Central Avenue in Far Rockaway, Queens. If you've ever been to the church, you know that it sits on this corner. However, if you've not been there since they built their new church over the last 2 years, you probably won't recognize it. There is a parking garage. If you're driving, it's underneath the building. And the way you access that parking garage is around the back side of the building. So if you're coming down Central Avenue, you turn on Namioke Avenue, and then you turn left on Augustina Avenue, and then halfway down the block is their parking garage entrance, and you're free to park in the parking garage. There's also on-street parking, but if you'd like to park in the parking garage, you're welcome to park in there. I do need to tell you that the parking garage would not hold everybody who will come, but it will hold a lot of people. However, it's really important you understand this. If you're not intending to stay all day, that is for the business session, lunch, and the ordination service, do not park in the parking garage, because you will not be able to get your car out. It's not like parking garage where there's a number of slots as you circle the block. It's a parking garage that cars get stacked in front of one another. And so there won't be a way out of the garage for most people until the event's over at the end of the day. There is on-street parking on Saturday in and around the church if that's important for you. And again, that's for those who've been invited to attend. We did, from the very start, we invited, of course, the ordinands, those who are getting their very first district license, not all district licensed ministers, but those who are getting their first one on Saturday. Families of the ordinands, senior pastors of the ordinands, and our district advisory board and our board of ministries, and of course the district staff that'll be working the event. In the last week, we've expanded that. We've sent an email to senior pastors and ordained elders on the district and inviting them, if they'd like to attend in person, they're welcome to do so. We have plenty of room, but we don't necessarily have plenty of lunches if a lot of people show up. And so we're hoping to have about 150 people on site. So it'll feel a little more like a regular assembly. We're following the protocols, COVID protocols of the local church, Far Rockaway, which is a change from our original note. Originally, we told those who were going to attend in person, they had to be vaccinated or have a negative COVID test this week. However, again, New York City has changed and relaxed the rules. And so we've under the guidance of the Board of General Superintendents, we're following the protocols of the local government, New York City, as well as the local church. New York City doesn't have those requirements anymore for indoor gatherings, but we are going to maintain a safe social distancing space and encourage people to spread out in the sanctuary as best as they can. Masks are optional per the Far Rockaway Church, but certainly those who are unvaccinated should not sit in any type of a large gathering without a mask. And there will be limited opportunities for people to be in close contact with one another. So there's no elders choir, there's no elders and deacons invited to the platform. We're not gathering around the ordinance as we normally would. And so we are taking some protocol. Of course, it goes without saying, if you intend to be on site and you've been invited and you exhibit any symptoms of COVID-19, please don't come. If you feel like you have a cold or a flu or anything, the same thing we've been saying for 2 years now, please restrict your access to other folks. One of the big changes this year over the last year is how we're going to conduct our voting. If you remember district assemblies in general, we have paper ballots that we pass around, and there's a board of tellers 1 and there's a board of tellers 2, and they go out of the room and they're out for an hour counting ballots, and then they come back. We found an electronic solution to our balloting problems, and it's called Election Runner. So this is one of the reasons that you have to register through Zoom. Everyone who registers as a delegate through Zoom, we're getting your email address from Zoom, and we're putting those emails into our Election Runner software. So you will get, if you're a registered delegate, you will get 2 emails. The first email will come as soon as you register. As soon as you hit submit your registration, you should get a confirmation email from Zoom that you're registered, and here's the link for Saturday to get into the Zoom room. If you don't get that, it means you probably did not enter your email address correctly, and you can send an email with Tito Rivera. So Tito can check can check your registration to check your email address. And Tito will drop his email address in the chat box when he can. If you get that, you're all set. You're registered, and you have the link that you need for Saturday morning to get in the Zoom room. Tomorrow evening, sometime tomorrow evening, you will get another email from us, from the Metro New York Church of the Nazarene, with a ballot, with a link to the ballot in Election Runner. We have two elections that required us to use Election Runner because of the number of people on the ballot. If we're doing a yes/no question at the assembly, that'll be the way we did it last year, which is essentially you go to the reactions button on the bottom, and you click, thumbs up, or if there's a poll and you're asked if you're asked to vote yes or no, there'll be a poll question. But the elections that we have coming up are for District Assembly Clergy, or District Advisory Board Clergy, District Advisory Board Non-Clergy, and we're electing for the 2023 General Assembly delegates to the General Assembly on both the clergy side and the non-clergy side. And so we found this solution, like I said, called Election Runner. So you will get a link. When you click on that link, and the link is unique to you personally. So each registrant gets their own link and password. When you click in through that, you'll be presented a ballot that looks something like this. It'll say District Assembly ballot, and then there will be 4 questions on the ballot. Question 1 is electing District Advisory Board Clergy. It says you can vote for 2. You can either vote for 1 or you can vote for 2. You cannot vote for 0, and you cannot vote for more than 2. District Advisory Board Non-Clergy will be the same, except it's not, obviously it's not clergy, but you can vote for 1 or you can vote for 2, but not more than 1, not less than 1, and not more than 2. On each of these, we have the name of the person who's been nominated and the church that, as best we know, is the church that they come from. And then on the General Assembly question, electing General Assembly Clergy, you'll vote for 3. We have 4 clergy who go as delegates of the Metro District. The 4th one is the district superintendent, who's an automatic. So we only elect 3 clergy, and we elect 4 non-clergy. That ballot was approved by the nominating committee, and it was approved by the District Advisory Board. And then the general superintendent has approved it and given us permission to send that ballot out. So that once the link comes to you tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the balloting for those 4 questions only will be open. You can vote anytime between tomorrow night and Saturday afternoon when the general closes the balloting. That, I know that's unusual for us, but we ask for permission to do that because if there are problems with this, we want to know Thursday or Friday rather than Saturday morning during the assembly. So you can only vote once. You can't change your vote once you hit submit, but you can vote ahead of the district assembly being open. You can vote ahead of the general superintendent saying vote now. We just felt asking people to switch from Zoom to an election thing and then back to Zoom for some people might be too complicated or might cause some technology glitches that we didn't want to address. So my suggestion is, as soon as you get the link, read the ballot. and vote when you're ready to do that. There is a question that I got that says, how will a delegate vote if they're in person? Whether you're in person or whether you're in Zoom, you still have to register for district assembly. So even if you've been invited and you're going to be at the district assembly in person at Far Rockaway, you still need to register in Zoom. Because you register in Zoom, you will then get the same exact link that everybody gets to the election runner voting. We have a backup for voting for people voting in person, but we really truly hope that we don't have to use it. But so my suggestion is, if you're registered, you'll get both of those email links, and the second one will be for voting. I'm not sure how the general will handle the yes/no votes. I think probably what they'll do is they'll ask you to raise your hand if you're on Zoom, or to answer the poll, and they'll ask for the yays and nays for those that are in person. Generally, as you know, if we're asking yes/no questions, there's almost never been a time when we had to count those out. The only time we did a paper ballot that was secret was the election of a district superintendent, and it was a yes/no ballot. Because the district nominating committee approved the ballot, and because the district advisory board approved the ballot, the general superintendent is going to ask the assembly to simply ratify the ballot. So unless there's some major problem with the ballot, the ballot should be good and all votes cast. If there's a problem and we have to start from scratch, we'll do that, but it will take us quite a bit of time to do that. I think those are the two questions that I saw pop up in the chat window to me. If you're in person, you still have to register, and if you're in person, you're still going to have a vote to do that. The other question that gets asked occasionally has to do with, and we had to address this last year, has to do with alternate delegates. If you've ever attended assembly in person, you know that sometimes a duly elected delegate can't go to the assembly, and churches are allowed to then seat alternate delegates. They present paperwork, it goes to the chair, it goes to the secretary. We seat them provisionally at the start of that. That's not possible to do with Zoom. So our suggestion is, whether you're an alternate or whether you're a delegate, that you go ahead and register. As everybody's registering, go ahead and register, and your pastor will tell you if you're an alternate, if you're needed to vote or to attend and be present in the Zoom. We don't seat delegates, alternates, the way we do when we're in person. We will next year when we're in person, but we don't. So the question comes up, well, then can't alternates vote just like delegates are voting? And my answer has always been, whether it's in a Zoom session like this or whether I'm talking to my district superintendent, if our churches are electing people to be delegates who are people of good moral character and members of their local Church of the Nazarene, I'm going to trust that if you're an alternate and you're not going to be seated, that you're not going to vote. I don't think that we're going to have any voting controversies. I don't think we're going to have any situation where votes are going to get tabulated that shouldn't, because we're going to trust that if you're an alternate and your pastor tells you to vote, you vote. If you're a delegate and you're not going to be attending for some reason, and the pastor is going to seat an alternate that is a delegate, you would not vote. So that's how we sort of handle that. I know it's on the honor system, but if we're electing you to represent our churches before the district assembly, we've got to trust you with something. So that's what we're doing with this. Okay, I'm going to stop there because that's a whole lot of information. And there may be questions that have been raised. I'm going to ask you if you have a question, if you could, it would help me if you practice raising your little hand down in the reaction section. There's a little hand raising thing. And I will try and see if your hand goes up, and I'll answer your questions. If you need translation, just tell us that, and Nancy will translate that. I also want to tell you, while you're thinking about your questions, I've posted the District Assembly Delegate Handbook down in the chat window. So if you open your chat window, you will see a file called District Assembly 2022 Handbook. This is a big file. You can see that it's 64 megabytes. I can't email it. I can email it, but and I will email it to delegates, but you'll get a Google Drive link, and sometimes that's confusing. The easiest way for you to get the Delegate Handbook right now is to just click on that link, download it to your computer, your phone, whatever, save it. You can print it if you want. It's about 70 color pages long. And it doesn't include the district superintendent's report, but it does include all the reports that will be, sorry, never mind. Hang on, folks. I see what I did. I was replying to one person, and so that one person has the Delegate Handbook, but the rest of you need it. So let me post it now to everyone. Sorry about that. Now you should see the Delegate Handbook in the chat window, and you can download that to your computer. Again, if you want to print it, you're welcome to print it. It's just very long. If I were printing it, I would print it in black and white to save on color ink, though the color graphics are very pretty and I enjoy them that much. So, but that has all of has the report of the Finance Committee, the report of all of the directors, the treasurer's report. It has the Board of Ministry report, nominee committee reports, and a number of other things in there that are important for you to see and be familiar with. So you can do that and take it. Is that in the main chat now? Some of you can see it. Anybody see it in the chat one? Okay, Tony said yes. So it should be in the main chat. This might be a test of your internet connection if it's taking a while to load to your chat window, but or it might have to cycle through everybody to see it. Okay. Nancy's been taking notes too. So she said, if you're one of our Spanish speakers and you would like to stay on the chat for a few minutes after, she'll go through the keynotes with you. So you can, if you're sending me a note in Spanish, I can't read it.
Okay.
I have one now that came direct to me, but I can't read it. So.
Si usted no está entendiendo lo que se está diciendo, todo esto yo lo acabo de anotar, entonces se puede quedar como unos 5 minutitos después, si quiere yo repaso con usted, si ustedes gustan. Para escribir en español, no se lo escriban a él directamente porque él no va a saber lo que le están escribiendo, puede poner lo que es para todos ahí, entonces yo puedo leer la pregunta y traducírsela a él.
So Tito sent me a message, but I don't understand it. So is everybody able to see chat? Does anybody have Eddie, I see Eddie's.
Bruce, in the chat window, it's only set to send a direct message to you or Nancy as a co-host.
Okay.
So you just have to open it up in the chat window.
right? We don't see group chat.
Okay, I can't change that, I don't think, but
If you make me co-host, I can work on that.
I'm gonna make you co-host. There you go. Yeah, so that's one of the things, and because this Zoom is set up for Saturday, one of the things on Saturday that we don't allow private chats back and forth between delegates. And part of the reason we don't do that is because we don't want a delegate accidentally posting something to the group that they meant to go to somebody. So all of the chats on Saturday go just to the moderators, Tito, myself, and Jeff. We can read those, but you won't be able to chat with your friend across the Zoom room. So you'll have to have another system in place, text them on the phone or something else. So, but I see, yeah, I can see what Tito was saying. You can only send a note to me, not to anybody else. So. All right, what questions? Any questions?
I do have a clarifying question.
Okay.
You were saying that the email that we use to register is going to be the same email that gets the delegate questions sent to it, correct?
The ballot, yes.
Okay.
Right, so if you register, whatever email you register in Zoom with is, we're just copying those out of Zoom, pumping those into the election software. So you didn't have to register at two different places. So if you register in Zoom, you should get a Zoom email and you should get an election email, which will come, you should have already gotten your Zoom email if you've already registered, but you will get an election one Wednesday evening.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, I have the same email as my husband. We only have one email, and you had mentioned that we have to get another email. I will have to get another email to be able to present it on Saturday or Wednesday night.
If you, right, so if you register as a delegate with an email address, you can only have one email address in the system registered. So if you have two people who share an email address, you'll only register one of you and you'll only have one ballot to vote on. There's no other way for us to do it. It's all driven by your email address.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Now you can go into Gmail or Yahoo or anybody else and create an email address if you want. They don't cost anything. But if you share one, then you only register once and you only have one vote.
I'm not a delegate. My husband is.
Right. So that would be fine then. He'll get one vote.
All right. All right. Thank you.
We're still having trouble working out the chat window. So if you're sending a chat, it's only coming directly to me. It's not posting to the group chat. So I'm just reading back through the chats to, I can copy a couple. We're going to put Tito's email in there. My email address is in there.
If anybody sent you a question in Spanish, you can just copy and paste it and put it in the chat so I can read it.
Okay. Oh, I sent that to Tito. See, this is why we don't want an open chat on Saturday. Somebody is thanking us for the high quality of the handbook. I agree with that. I think it came out pretty well. So there's a question in Spanish I put in the chat window, Nancy.
Yes. All right. So I don't know who make this question, but it says, thank you for the support and for teaching us. The agenda, it will be sent by email to us. And also if there is any video in Spanish, so we can understand instructions in Spanish. So lo que yo les dije con anterioridad, yo no sé quién puso esa pregunta, pero pueden quedarse unos 5 minutos después. Yo les voy a dar las claves, los puntos claves que ha tocado el pastor Bruce en toda esta noche. Yo lo he anotado para que ustedes puedan saber. Y cualquier pregunta que tengan, tienen de aquí hasta el día sábado también para enviar las preguntas. Se la pueden enviar a él, a mi esposo Tito, y también pueden ponerme a mí. Voy a decirle a ellos que pongan mi correo electrónico para que yo pueda entonces traducir esas preguntas para ustedes. If you can just put my email also, so when they send a question to you, I can translate that for you or to Tito.
I keep posting it to everybody and it keeps defaulting to Tito. It only wants me to reply to Tito.
And to me, I see it. Él la va a enviar por correo y también está tratando de ponerla en el lado de donde se conversa.
Any other questions? I have opened up the chat. I found out how to do that. So if you want to send a post to everyone, you can post to everyone now. So. No more questions?